So lots of exciting stuff coming up with AEW. Have you heard anything else, coming down the pipe?
Oh my God. Have you heard about this King of Tigers match that AEW is advertising this week? It looks like it's the blood and guts cage, so like the double cage. We got 18 of like the top wrestlers in AEW, and there's going to be 8 tigers in the match at the same time, and it's going to be like who's going to be the last one to survive kind of thing. Like people are going to die in this match. Jungle Boy's in this match. I mean, he has to be the favorite to win. It's freaking Tigers, right? So I don't know. I think it's gonna be crazy. What do you think, man?
The following presentation has been brought to you by HSF Productions.
The Impromptu Wrestling Podcast with your hosts, Jeff and David.
Hey guys, welcome back to IWP, the Impromptu Wrestling Podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Tally006. Over to my left, as always, is my brother Damien. How's it going today, dude?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing very, very well. We have a big week of wrestling to cover. Just want to remind everybody, these episodes are pretty long, so bear with us. Stick to the end. We got a lot coming down on the show today. We're covering BTE on Monday, AEW Dark from Tuesday, AEW Dynamite on Wednesday. We have the TNT Championship predictions coming at the end of the show. We're also talking, we got a Breaking Kayfabe section. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave us some comments below what your predictions are at the TNT Championship. We're really excited about all this stuff, but we got a really big show, so let's get right into it with AEW Dark.
All right. So already we're almost at episode 30 with AEW Dark, and the show started with the announcement of the TNT Championship, and that there'd be this tournament to see who would be crowning the first champion. And it's basically whoever the first to win 3 matches is gonna win the strap. So in this episode of Dark, they announced half of the bracket, which was Sean Spears versus Cody, and Sammy Guevara versus Darby Allin. Right. And then they said that they were going to announce the other half later in the week on Dynamite.
So, yeah, that's huge news, and I've been kind of hinting at this for weeks now that they were going to bring in this mid-card championship belt, and it's kind of funny that my predictions is that this is going to be the Sammy and Darby show. These are the guys that are going to be going head to head for this title, and they're wrestling each other in the first round of the match.
Yeah.
So I was a little disappointed to see that that's how they were going to do this. I like the tournament system. I think it's cool. But I was hoping for different wrestlers. Sean Spears makes sense, Sammy makes sense, Darby makes sense, Cody, I think he's just in there to fill the spot because the lack of talent they have access to right now because of the whole situation in the world. But I'm really excited for this tournament, and I can't wait to hear who else is going to be in the tournament, but we'll cover that later on in the show. As we get into the dark matches themselves, we had Matt Sells versus Sammy Guevara, the Captain Sean Dean versus Sean Spears, Preston Vance versus Darby Allin, Fabu Andre versus John Moxley, non-title AEW championship match. That didn't make sense, but you knew what I meant. These matches were a lot better than the weeks before. The Sammy versus Matt Sells match was really good. We saw Matt Sells the week before. He must have done something to impress the brass a little bit, so he got a second chance. The Captain Sean Dean was surprisingly, well well off. Like they alluded that he was like a 6-year veteran of the sport, former Marine, former Navy SEAL or something like that. So he looked really good against Sean Spears, and Sean Spears puts on a clinic, and just pure wrestling. It was a really good match. He goes over for his first win of 2020, which was
Wow.
something the commentary was really putting over. Maybe he should stick to solos, because this tag team search isn't going well for him, because he was 0-6 as a tag team wrestler. So
Well, he kept leaving the matches.
well, yeah, exactly. He wasn't giving himself a chance. I forgot to mention Sammy Guevara went over in his match. Preston Vance versus Darby Allin. Preston Vance was apparently, we've seen him in a dark match back in the fall. They said that this wasn't his debut. We had seen him before. He looks really good. Like, this guy has what it takes. I think he, a couple more years of grinding, we're gonna see this kid again. He was really good. Maybe that's just the phantom of going against Darby, because Darby's the king right now. But it was a really good match. I suggest watching it. Darby Allin goes over on that one, and then we get a kind of surprise dark match here with Jon Moxley, the AEW champion, making an appearance on Dark, fighting another new guy, Fabu Andre. This guy did not look impressive at all. He had a moniker that I can't really remember what it was. He was the Magnificent Man or something. He had a moniker to him. I can't remember what it was, but he's not magnificent at all. He is a very scrawny looking guy, and kind of like I would say a Zeller's version of Joey Janela.
Yes, I thought the same thing.
Yeah, he was just kind of the Walmart version. But anyways, it was a basic squash match. Jon Moxley just ran this guy over. But
did you find it weird though that Moxley was even on Dark?
I did find it weird. I think that's kind of
like, it made sense at the end, right?
It made sense at the end,
but when you hear it, it's like, why? I don't get it.
Yeah, definitely out of place. I don't know. Not that it hurts the AEW championship, but I mean, it just doesn't look good. I don't know. It seemed weird and out of place for me, but like you said, as we get into the end of the show, Jake Hager comes in and basically puts Moxley to sleep in a matter of seconds, which is retaliation from what happened on Dynamite the week before, with Moxley coming out and paradigm shifting Hager. So getting some further movement and progress in this story, this feud that's building between Moxley and Hager. I'm actually starting to get excited for this match. I know we were a little hesitant on it last week, but this is building, and they're doing a good job, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, let's keep this show rolling as we go back in time to Monday for Being the Elite. This was an episode that kind of got back to how Being the Elite should be. We got a little bit of it last week. It was kind of getting back to normal, and this was a pure Being the Elite episode to me. What did you think of this episode?
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, because it was kind of less on the skit side and more on the vlog side, I thought. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's the best episode that they've had. I like when they're more funnier and entertaining, but it sounds like it really seems like it's Matt kind of running the show. Do you get a sense of that? Maybe because Nick is not as involved right now?
Right. Yeah, I think that's kind of where it's all coming from, is maybe Matt's taking up the slack. I'm sure everybody's doing their own film, like taking the initiative to film their own bits. and stuff like that. Maybe Matt's doing the coordination, but I think everything's still coming back to Nick to do the editing and the uploading and stuff like that. But yeah, good point. We get a quick little bit at the beginning, and Matt's working from home as we all are in this day and age, and he's opening up the coffee shop in his house, and he asks, he's like, "Oh, so what can I get you?" And then it pans to his son, and "Dad, I'm 4." Just walks away. I thought that was clever. Kind of playing off the Matt Hardy, the Free the Delete episode where.
Oh yeah.
They're like, "Hey, did you bring Orange Cassidy with you? Get out of here, you little turd."
It's going to be exciting, though, when these kids get a little bit older, and if they start involving them, I think it'll be good.
Yeah, for sure. As we move ahead in the episode, we get an update with Nick Jackson. He's, telling us that he's feeling better. He's working out, and things are going according to plan. He's not quite 100%, but he's recovering. He's playing Super Mario World from SNES on this giant arcade that I'm super jealous of. I want that so bad.
Yeah.
And he finally gives us the official announcement that his newborn son was born, and he's doing well, and everybody's healthy and happy, which is good news. We're happy for you. Congratulations, Nick. And did you think about the name before you named him? It seemed like it was an afterthought, like, oh, crap. When this kid grows up to be a wrestler, he's going to be Michael Jackson. So, I don't know. I don't know what their real last name is, because that's obviously, it's not the same. Jackson must be a ring name. Which I don't know. If you do know, leave it in the comments below. I'd like to know. But, yeah, it seems like an afterthought, but... What did you think of the future Michael Jackson?
Well, yeah, as soon as he said the name, I was just like, oh, okay. Michael Jackson, that's going to be weird.
Yeah.
But like you say, yeah, it's most likely not their real last name. And then it made me think of the actor from Trailer Park Boys.
Yes, yeah.
Because he's also a Michael
Trevor.
Jackson.
Trevor. Trevor's Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Then we get into a little bit of a skit, kind of a more realistic skit, if you will. We got Brandon Cutler, Matt, and Nick working out in Nick's private gym that he built in his garage. It seems to be the only gym open down in Cucamonga, California. But Matt's got a cough, and everybody else is like, "Whoa, hey!" And they like totally wipe down the bench in the weights before Brandon gets down there to lift some weights, and Matt kind of takes offense to it, So I mean, keeping it light, keeping the situation light. It's good to see.
Yeah.
And
kind of using the current events in their
for sure
in their skits. Yeah,
I like that. We move over to Kenny, and he talks about having to defend his AAA mega championship title on Dynamite against Sammy Guevara from last week, which was really great match. I'd suggest going to watch it. We gassed that one up pretty good last week, but and then he goes into talking about how he took every precaution necessary to make sure Colt Cabana wasn't going to be in the episode, and he had security guards clear the room before he got in there, and he locked the door from the inside. And I don't know if you noticed the news that was playing in the background, but the little ticker, like whoever
I didn't the first time I watched, but
okay.
The second time I watched, I was reading it.
Super
I mean, it's
clever
such a
stuff.
tight shot too. So you're thinking like, how is Colt gonna get behind the camera? There's a wall right behind Kenny. Like,
Right.
how is this gonna work out, right?
Which plays into how Kenny explained it. Like, he's taking every precaution that, Colt's not going to get in this episode. But, if you really pay attention to that ticker tape, there's a lot of really funny inside jokes to the other wrestlers. There was a mention of Jericho. There's some Hangman stuff in there. Really funny stuff. I think there was even a mention of Colt Cabana in a way where it was, Chicago man is on the loose, ruining skits for being the elite or something to that effect. Just super clever stuff. It looked legit. Whoever put that together, props on that. That was amazing.
Yeah, because even the news guy, when it pans out a little bit, right? You see the news guy, and he's just doing the news.
He's got his microphone. He's like, da, 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 da. It's so well done. And then we get the payoff to the whole joke where the screensaver on the TV kicks in, and it's the old DVD video bouncing along the screen, but it's Colt Cabana's face just. Yeah.
And Kenny flips out.
Oh yeah, he flips out. Classic Kenny.
Yeah.
We get into Christopher Daniels. It was his 50th birthday, and he's on a conference call with everybody, and he's opening gifts, and they all kind of pertain to the situation we're all in. You know, he gets a roll of toilet paper and some hand sanitizer, and he's super excited about it, which was a good segment. Again, just tying in current events. Happy birthday to the fallen angel.
The funny part for me in that one is how he had all of these different devices. Like, you know, you can't talk to more than one person on the same application. They all have to be on separate devices.
Right.
I thought that was pretty. Neat
I didn't even notice that. To me, it just felt like, that's what you'd have to do.
I guess it's just, me being a technology guy, and just like, you don't need 14 devices to talk to 14 different people.
Yeah, that's true. I never thought of that. Another funny thing that made me pop in that segment was when Frankie he does the do ya to his wife, and his wife throws her shoe at him or something like that. And he's just like, sorry, babe. And he was super pumped that he got it in too. He's like, do ya? Yeah. He gets hit with the shoe. He's like, what the fuck? That was great. We get some more Peter Avalon, Brandon banter back and forth. This time over the phone because, social distancing. And also, that was really funny. What did you think of this Luchasaurus segment? Whose idea was this? Because they're fired. Like, I don't know. It's just weird and out of place.
You know what? I was waiting to ask you about it because, all the inside stuff more than I do. So, I really thought, I'm missing part of this story. Maybe I should be getting this, but I'm not. Was that a suntan booth?
I think it was a sauna.
Okay. And then he gets in there with his clothes on. I didn't get any of it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'd like to see what our viewers' thoughts are. Write them in the comment section. If you have an idea of what the heck that was about.
To me, what is happening here is I wonder if they're starting to work in that he's going to be taking the mask off. Because it seemed like he was kind of down. I've been here for 65 million years, and it's just not working out. Like, he seemed to be down on himself. And
was this the one where he's mentioning his tail?
Yeah, and he lost his tail. So, okay, thanks for reminding me of that, because the whole bit of what he was doing was the Shawn Michaels promo from Raw 94 or whatever it was, where he lost his smile and he turns over the Intercontinental title belt to Vince, and he takes his ball and he goes home. That whole fiasco, which didn't make any sense because he shows back up like a month later and he's just back to Shawn Michaels, right? So that's what they were parodying. But in the context of Luchasaurus, it just didn't make sense. It just seemed weird. So I don't know that. To me, they're building to maybe he might be losing the mask. Might be losing the gimmick. I don't know. That's where I think it's going. But yeah, thanks for reminding me about that. Because they were definitely parodying Shawn Michaels back in the day.
Okay. Yeah, but I never would have got that.
Yeah, leave it in the comments below what you guys think Luchasaurus is up to, or if it was straight parody, or are they building to something. we get Matt Jackson answering some fan questions. Which, where was the BTE mailbag jingle? Like, I'm pissed off about that. It's my favorite part. We've been asking for it for weeks. We finally get a Q&A section and they don't play it. Maybe Matt is in charge.
Yeah, maybe Nick is not doing it.
Yeah, maybe. And then we get the highlight of the episode. We get some cowboy shit. And this Hangman is the freaking GOAT when it comes to this stuff. He plays this stuff so straight and he just pulls it off. Basically, he's sitting at home. He's going about his everyday life, at home. And everybody in the elite is calling him to check up on him or see how he's doing, whatever they're doing. But they're calling to check up on him. And every time someone pops up, he doesn't answer it, and he kind of looks like, yeah, I don't need to deal with this right now. And if you really pay attention, everybody's got a tagline. I think you fill out the occupation or the work where they work in your contacts list, and that's what pops up.
Okay.
I think that's how they did it, but everybody had a tagline, and they were all, hilarious and made sense to what was going on.
Oh, really? You know what? I don't think I saw even one of them. I think I was more looking at the background picture that pops up.
Okay. So I caught it on.
So what were some of the taglines?
So I think Kenny's the first one who calls. I can't remember for sure, but it was like Kenny calls, and then the tagline was like the other tag champion or something like that. Like, it was just super simple for Kenny. And then like Cody calls him, and it's just like, why'd you put that on your neck or something, like a comment like that. And then Nick calls him, and it's like, man, I haven't seen this guy for like a few weeks. What the hell's he been up to? Where's he been? What is he doing? Like, there was something to that extent.
Okay, yeah.
I haven't even seen this guy in a while. And then Matt calls, and it's like, I can't even remember what Matt's was, but they're really funny. Go back and watch it. It was clever stuff. And just classic Hangman. I love that stuff. So
yeah, right now I have to say that Hangman is BTE. Like,
he's keeping it going.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, good stuff coming from BTE. Suggest watching, especially that last segment was really funny, and also the Kenny segment was really funny. As we keep the show rolling along, we're gonna get into a little bit of breaking kayfabe, our kind of news events segment of the show. Former AEW superstar, she politely asks for her release back in like June or something like that. Kylie Ray. I really liked this girl. I was sad to see that she didn't want to be in AEW for whatever reasons. I still don't know any more about what caused her to want to leave, but she's gone. She has officially signed with Impact Wrestling. She showed up on Impact's latest show from this week. They do pre-tape shows, so I'm not sure how long ago this actually happened, but the news broke this week. She had a debut match. She won, and then after she did an interview where she reveals that she signed a long-term, very lucrative contract, is how she puts it. And she's classic Kylie Ray. She was super excited about it. Very, very high energy. And I'm just happy for her. I'm glad she found a spot. And I really wanted to put this into the show today to let you guys and our listeners and viewers know that Kylie Ray is working again. And I'm happy. I'm happy she's got a spot. What do you think of her move over to Impact?
Yeah, I mean, good for her. Really sucky, I think, for AEW because, I don't know. Like, right now, I feel like the women's division it's a bit lacking. I don't know. Like, there's only one match this week, and we're not seeing like really any stories. And I think she brings an energy to to a company. Like, she brought energy when she was, part of AEW. So I think it's a big loss
For sure.
for AEW.
I would love to know what happened. She hasn't talked about it. Tony refuses to talk about it. She asked for a release, and I granted it to her, and that was kind of all we got out of it. But yeah, definitely a big loss for AEW, but huge gain for Impact. I think she's gonna do well there. Don Callis and Scott D'Amore, they're gonna know how to use this girl, and she's gonna be huge over there. And again, really happy to see she landed somewhere. She's gonna get exposure, and that's the main thing. So
yeah,
congratulations, Kylie Ray.
So moving along the show, we got our power rankings for the week of April 1st, 2020. What do we got?
All right, we should be able to get through quick because really not a lot of movement. So in the men's division, we got Jericho still at number 1. Jake Hager moves up 2 positions to number 2.
I called that
Cody's
last
up.
week.
Yeah, Cody's up 1 position at number 3. Kenny Omega's up 1 position at number 4, and Darby Allin is made the top 5, and MJF drops out of the top 5.
You should have wrestled the other week, MJF. Figure it out. Man.
Yeah, it's we haven't actually seen him wrestle for a bit now, eh? So I don't know what's up with that. In the women's division, there is no change from last week. So Shida, Statlander, Zakazaki, Baker, and Riho make out the top 5 there.
Okay.
And in the tag division, again, no change. So Dark Order, Young Bucks, SCU, Lucha Brothers, and Best Friends in the top 5.
All right. Good stuff. So let's get right into AEW Dynamite for the week. Try to get through this fairly quickly. It was a different show this week. We were broadcasting live from an undisclosed location, is how they put it, and you noticed it right away as soon as the broadcast went on. We weren't in Daly's place anymore. And I just want to bring it up that the rumors are, from what I've heard from Ollie Davis at Wrestle Talk, is that the undisclosed location was QT Marshall's gym in Georgia, somewhere in Georgia. I'm sure outside of Atlanta somewhere. But that seems to be where the show took place. Right now, Georgia is under very strict stay-at-home laws or policies, it seems to be what the word is. And apparently, Georgia state officials showed up at the building to basically shut it down.
Oh, wow.
And this is all rumors. This is just what I've heard from other news sites, so take it with a grain of salt, but apparently they were very adamant that the show does not go on in this instance. Apparently AEW was very keen on this. Not keen, that's the wrong word. They were prepared, and they had all proper paperwork done. They had a plan set forth to tell these officials how things were going to be working. You saw it on the show. We had wrestlers in the crowd, but they were very noticeably separated. No one was really in contact with each other. So I'm sure that was part of the issue. Apparently these officials, whatever you want to call them, officers, whatever, stayed the night and monitored everything. So the reason I bring this up is that it puts AEW in jeopardy going forward, because if this thing gets any worse, it's very easily that we might not see Dynamite for an extended period of time, which sucks. because it's kind of one
Unless
of the
they
only.
do a WrestleMania style,
So
where,
what they pre-tape?
two wrestlers will come in. It's very limited. Camera guy, two wrestlers pre-tape it.
And they do a bunch at once, and they
Yeah,
stock.
I mean,
up
it
a
won't
couple
be
weeks.
as good, but
No, definitely not. But I mean, we'll see what comes forward with this. What we see in the future with this. So, just want to bring that up. That things might be in jeopardy for AEW Dynamite.
yeah.
But we'll see.
And I heard that the undisclosed location was because they didn't want fans
Right.
coming to the venue, so they didn't want people to know where it was.
Right.
So now that we've exposed it, and everybody can show up there now.
Oh, I'm sure they have.
Just kidding.
Yeah. No, I'm sure they have some potentials to go around. It seems like Georgia might not work, so maybe they'll head back to Florida and see what they can do in Florida.
Yeah.
We get as we get into the show, we got Cody and Tony back on commentary. Which is fine. I mean, Cody could probably learn a bit from Kenny from last week, but we talked about that last week. I mentioned that we got wrestlers in the crowd again this week, which we didn't have the week before. So this was nice to see. They weren't as active in the show as they were a couple weeks ago, but still it was nice to see. There was a little bit of background noise.
Yeah, the face side was loud. I don't know if you caught this, but
the
they
gun
were
club.
rattling
The gun
they
club
were rattling.
they were trying.
Yeah, like they were rattling the barrier there, and it was, I don't know, it was bothering me.
Oh, really?
Constantly heard the rattling of
Right.
the barrier.
I'm guessing that was Austin. He
Yeah.
doesn't have a contract, so he's not worried about getting fired. The show starts off. We got Cody and Tony giving us the lowdown on the other half of the TNT Championship match or tournament. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, so on the other half of the bracket, we got in the first match, it'll be Dustin Rhodes versus Kip Sabian. And an interesting match in the next one, it's Lance Archer versus Cole Cabana. So what do you think about those matchups?
They surprised me. I might have took Dustin out and maybe replaced him with somebody else, and I might have took Cabana out. Lance Archer being in this tournament completely changes my predictions, but we'll get into that at the end of the show. So as it goes right now, we got Cody versus Spears, Darby versus Sammy, Dustin versus Sabian, and Lance versus Cabana. That's our TNT Championship tournament for the inaugural TNT Championship. What do you think of the name TNT Championship?
I mean, I guess it makes sense. Is this the equivalent of the TV championship?
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, WCW, previously NWA, they had the TV title. I think ECW even had a TV title for a long time. It's a known name. It's kind of old school. In today's world where everything's copyrighted and trademarked and stuff like that, maybe they weren't able to use the actual term television champion. So what else do? Yeah, you name it after your broadcaster. It totally makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm just glad it's not the Ted Turner Championship.
Yeah.
That might have been bad.
I mean, it's good promotion for them. It's going to be in all their graphics and all that. So.
I can't wait to see what the title looks like. I hope TNT is engraved in it just like AEW is. That would be badass.
Yeah. I think it has to be.
I think it'll look cool. So, yeah. So big news. I was totally right about the mid card championship coming to AEW.
like I said, there might be a couple different names that I'd like to see, maybe the layout, but we'll get into that at the end of the show after we talk about Dynamite and as we get into our predictions for the TNT Championship Tournament. Let's get right into the first half of the show, basically. First match. We had Trent of the Best Friends taking on Kenny Omega. Straight up one fall match. Aubrey Edwards, the referee. This was an awesome match.
Yeah. And interesting that it's Trent because he's mostly been in tag team matches. But yeah, I thought he killed it. Really, really good match. Long match. I don't know if you thought it was long.
Well, yeah. They almost went to the 20-minute time limit. And I thought maybe we were going to see our third draw of the night, but as we'll talk about it of the match itself, it ends just at the wire. This just displayed Trent's talent. We've seen him in singles matches before, more often than Chuck and Orange Cassidy. I think he gets put in this match simply because of the lack of talent that are able to travel, to the undisclosed location. It seems like the Best Friends are making an effort to stick around. They're getting a lot of TV exposure right now.
Yeah.
And I think that's by design, by them. So I think that's why he's put in this match. He did not look out of place. Like, I can totally see Trent being the guy who turns on the Best Friends at some point and goes on a solos run.
Yeah. I mean, they were kind of talking him up in commentary there that I think they said he's been in the business for like 16 years, almost a couple of decades. And I think they kind of were saying that they could see him being a solo guy. That's where the big bucks are. And I mean, he's a big guy. He looks good, like he's got the six pack and all that, and he fits with those big boys like Kenny Omega, and I could see him fighting Lance Archer. Yeah, it makes sense. Orange Cassidy doesn't make sense.
Right.
So I thought the first half of the match was like really hard hitting. Like, man, they looked like they hated the heck out of one another.
And commentary made a very they made a point of mentioning that these two respect each other, and they shook hands before the match, and then as it went on, they're like, maybe these guys don't like each other as much as we thought, because it was hard.
They did a good job of all of the selling and everything like that. And then the end of the match had like some just huge spots. It kind
of all started with the buckle bomb into the pole.
Yeah.
They seem to have these poles that were holding up all the black drapes that were kind of surrounding the ring. And yeah, Kenny just buckle bombs Trent into this pole. And from there on, it was just high spot after high spot after high spot.
Yeah.
Which is
that's kind of a heel move, I feel, like that buckle bomb.
Yeah.
Especially on the outside to a pole, like it was uncharacteristic of Kenny. One of the coolest moves of the entire night, and I mean that I could even think of, was this Trent doing this baseball slide German suplex while Kenny is like in the ropes. Do you remember that one? Like,
no,
I just thought
I
that
don't.
was like, oh man, you got to go back and watch that. So Kenny's kind of in the ropes, and Trent comes sliding underneath him and does this German suplex kind of thing. Wow. Yeah, that was really cool.
There was a spot that Cody was really popping on, and I missed it, but because I was watching it live, I couldn't go back to see what it was.
That might have been it.
That might have been it. Did it happen in the far left corner from hard camera?
No, it was the nearest right corner.
Okay, because there was a spot in that left corner that I missed too, and I can't they were like, "Oh my god!" They were kind of going off on that, and I missed that one too. But I gotta stay off of Twitter while I'm watching Dynamite.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the time becomes an issue. We get, the 15 minutes elapsed, 5 remaining, and things start ramping up. We get some more, the snap suplexes are coming, the V-triggers are coming. Trent's doing release German suplexes and throwing Kenny around. He's really working his back and his hands and stuff like that, which was a great part of the story. And as we get into the 1 minute left, or creeping up on the 1 minute left, I think there's a 2-minute warning call at some point, and Kenny kind of just takes over, and V-trigger, Snapdragon, V-trigger, one-winged angel, basically the recipe for every Kenny Omega finish. But really good match, man. Trent impressing me more and more. I'm glad he's getting the TV exposure. This was really great.
I thought
match.
it was a really good choice to have this as the opening match.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Because it really got you into the show.
Yeah, for sure. I was paying attention, after that. I was like, man, is the rest of the show going to be like this? It's really good. Kenny Omega wins, keeping that one-winged angel strong. Still no one's ever kicked out of it. I can't wait for the day that someone kicks out of this, man. It's going to be huge.
Yeah.
That's going to be talked about for years to come. It's going to be like the first time someone kicked out of the tombstone or something. Like, it's just going to be like, what just happened? I wonder who it'll be.
I bet you they're not even on the show yet.
Interesting. I like it. After that, we go right into the next match of the night. We have Hikaru Shida versus a fresh face, I'll say. I'm on board.
That's not how I would describe it, but
how would you describe it?
She had a beautiful.
Well,
she was a very pretty woman.
I'm trying not to be creepy, but.
Oh, okay. I don't care about that.
Yeah, you don't care about that. Hikaru Shida versus Anna Jay, making her AEW debut. No puns intended. This girl looked great. She was a very beautiful girl, like you mentioned, but she looked very, very comfortable in the ring. Was very aware of her body and where it needed to be, and I'm excited to see this girl more.
Yeah, they mentioned that she was trained by QT Marshall,
right.
And a lot of these kind of independent people that are coming in seem to be from the Georgia area. So yeah,
more proof that they were at QT's gym.
Yeah, no, I thought she did really well. I couldn't find her on Twitter, but I tweeted out anyways that I thought she did a really good job, and hopefully we see her again.
She took advantage of her moment, I would say. She ends up losing, which, I mean, it makes sense. It's Hikaru Shida. She's the number one contender right now. I didn't expect this new person to win, but I mean, yeah, she impressed me. She knows how to wrestle, and she was selling, and she actually did some pretty crazy moves too.
That tilt-a-whirl backbreaker that Sheeta did on her, yeah, she did that well.
She did not look uncomfortable at all.
So at the end of the match, Sheeta's outside the ring and starts, talking to Baker.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering, have we seen this before? Have they had any sort of interaction, or is this this may be a feud they're trying to go with here?
I think earlier in the year, when Britt was kind of part of all these Fatal 4-Way matches that they kept doing, there were some interactions with Sheeta. I think it mostly ended up more so on Riho, because Riho was the champion at that time.
Right.
And she was always kind of part of those fatal 4-way matches. But yeah, I think this was just a feud that they were wanting to get going before, but things get in the way and plans change.
And Nyla Rose hasn't been around. So.
Yeah, I think she's another victim of the travel bans. I think is the only reason why we haven't seen her. She tweeted out the week before she was full gear. Hashtag full gear and holding her championship, and she cuts a little promo. She shows herself watching Dynamite, and it was the Sheeta Shanna match, I think. Okay. Or was it the Fatal 4-Way with Statlander and everybody? It might have been the Fatal 4-Way match. Penelope Ford, Statlander. But anyway, she was watching the match and basically saying like, I'm keeping an eye on you girls kind of thing. And so she's not been non-existent, but
she's good on social media, man.
Oh,
did you see that one where she's changing the light in her house?
No. What was that about?
And so she sets up the ladder, and then she's like, how in a ladder match they're like, struggling to get up the ladder. Like, if you haven't seen it, you got to go check that out.
Okay,
she's good on social media.
I'll go back in her media and see if I can find that. That's hilarious. Yeah, wrestlers don't know how to climb ladders.
Yeah. And she's changing a light. Yeah, it's hilarious.
That's cool. Okay, I'll check that out. Sheeta wins, as we mentioned. Side power bomb was kind of the finisher. Have we seen this finisher from her before? Or
I don't think so. Like, I don't think that is her finisher. It was just that's how they ended it. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, like it was a good match, but nothing too fantastic.
The main takeaway from this match is that Anna Jay is, really good wrestler, and
she can wrestle.
She can wrestle, and we're excited to see her again in both definitions of the word.
She needs to get a Twitter.
She needs to get a Twitter. Get on social media there.
Then I'll stalk her.
Yeah. Moving into the next segment of the show, we have a video package of Jake Hager and Jon Moxley. Tell us about this.
So I think this is really, they've been working this Jon Moxley, Jake Hager sort of angle and feud, and I thought this video package was really well done, kind of showing, how powerful Jake Hager is. There were some clips of his MMA stuff, and then, Jon Moxley not being, afraid, and, kind of what he can do.
Did you find that this the production of this was very MMA style? When you watch UFC fights and they do their little vignettes, it's kind of sit down interview with highlights style. To me, it was very MMA.
I never noticed it, but now that you're saying it, I'm kind of remembering it. Yeah, it did look like that.
Yeah, it was really well done. I agree, and it's. I mentioned it. The kind of the run in at the end of the Moxley match on Dark just is getting me excited about this feud. And especially with Hager getting better and better in the ring every time we see him, like this match is going to be awesome, and I can't wait. And we basically the purpose of this video package, this kind of vignette, if you will, is that we get the announcement that 2 weeks away, so not next week, but the week after, we're getting a no holds barred match with Moxley and Hager for the AEW Championship. And another key part of this, package was that Sammy and Chris Jericho were also in it, gassing up Hager, and Jericho is not offended that Hager's going for the championship, which just solidifies the fact that Inner Circle are all for one and one for all kind of mentality. And Jericho repeats it's kind of his catchphrase right now with the whole blood and guts feud going on, is that we don't hit each other with each other's finishers. We're not bitching at each other. We're not drinking on the job. So
yeah. And that's smart veteran Chris Jericho there, keeping the blood and guts thing going. So it's not over. It will happen. And that's good. I like that.
All right, moving on. We get into another, another match. We get Lance Archer, the Murder Hawk Monster. What do you think of this nickname, real quick? Did I ask you about this last week? The Murder Hawk Monster.
No, we didn't. We didn't get into it. We mentioned it, but we didn't get into the name. I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know. I find it a little bit inappropriate with the whole murder thing, and
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a very sensitive person, and I get it that it's just wrestling, but it seems a bit unnecessary.
It's a little over
even
the top.
even his his what's his catchphrase is "everyone dies" or something like that.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah,
But
it's
maybe it'll fit him the more we see him.
I guess it all depends on how they progress it, how they market it going forward. Is kind of the context that you got to put it in. Yeah, I don't know. To me, my main issue with it is it doesn't flow. For me to say the Murder Hawk Monster, it feels weird. It's not like the American Nightmare, like that flows.
Yeah.
The Ultimate Bout Machine.
I like the Murder Hawk Mansion. That's what they're dubbing that place where
Right.
he was, fighting all the guys there.
Darby's backyard.
I think that sounds cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, it all depends on how they market it. But anyways, we get into his debut, AEW Dynamite debut. We're going to finally see Lance Archer in action, and they put him up against the also terrifying Marco Stunt. And as much as this is going to probably piss off Jim Cornette, is I don't know. He's some hillbilly from down south who thinks he knows wrestling.
Never heard of him.
Yeah.
Must be a jack.
He is a jackass. He thinks everything's hokey. Anyways, this is going to really piss him off, but this is exactly why you hire Marco Stunt, is for this exact match. This kid will take anything because he loves the sport of professional wrestling. He loves the show. And this kid took an absolute ass kicking. And he was on social media the next day saying, "Man, that looked good."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this is exactly what he's made for, is to be ragdolled. And Lance Archer did not take it easy on him.
No. Yeah, I you know what, I put in the notes here, like, squash match. It wasn't even a squash match.
Well, it was a 5-minute match.
Yeah. But no, like, I mean, it was even worse than that. Like, it wasn't someone controlled it. Like, that fall away release suplex that he did, where he like threw him.
I thought he was going to break his neck on the turnbuckle.
Yeah.
And then there was that. He has him in like a razor's edge, kind of inverted razor's edge, and then he. Remember the zipper, the zipper?
Yeah.
And you get up to the top, and then it flips all the way down. Like that's
was that the finish?
No, that was not the finish.
Okay.
That was like the finish tease. I think that's where he pinned him and then pulled him up.
Oh, okay.
Just before the 3, and then he actually.
I didn't catch what the move was called.
I don't think they had a move for it. I don't think they had a name for it. If you guys caught what the name of that finisher is, leave it in the comments below for us. But yeah, like this is exactly how this was supposed to go down.
Yeah, and Marco did a really good job on social media the next day, because he's just like, I don't really remember.
Yeah,
what happened. I feel sore, but I don't know why.
Yeah, yeah. Like he's a good sport about it, and he just does it because he loves it. And hopefully they don't do this to him too often. But when the time's right, like this was the perfect time.
And it fits with the like I'm totally expecting Jake Roberts to come next week and say, that they're insulted that
Yes.
this is the match they put him in.
Because that was the whole build, right? Is that
Yeah.
like, you have to give us a shot, give us your best, and then they throw Marco at him. It just it fits the story. This was perfect booking.
Yeah, what did you say that guy's name was? Corvette or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If he doesn't like that, he's an absolute idiot.
Yeah. He's an ass clown is what it is.
Oh, yeah. That fits. So, yeah, it was a good match, even though it wasn't much of a match. It was a good match. And then at the end, like the throw from the apron
Yes.
to clear the barrier. And man, they didn't do a good job of catching little Marco Stante.
I don't think they
expected
him to come at them at such velocity.
And I loved how, it's the little details. Like they're, going to commercial break, Cabana and Tony are talking, but he's still laying there, and they're like still helping him out. Like it's not like they just got up and left because he just got his arse kicked. He should be laying there for 5 minutes.
Just because there's no crowd doesn't mean you have to stop selling, or
That's right.
that you can stop selling. You have to keep selling until you're in the back. So
Yeah, it was perfect.
yeah, no, really well done. Everything about this segment was done. I'm not going to say to perfection, but I mean it was done to perfection. Like everything was good about it. You cannot say anything bad about this Lance Archer Marco Stunt match. I'll argue with you till the end of days. Hashtag Baron Corbin.
Yeah.
So as we get into the next segment, we get another vignette from the Dark Order. We're gonna see more of how the Exalted One is, doing business. What can you tell us about this segment? What did you think?
Well, we talked a little bit about Brody Lee in the last episode, right? In that, things were okay, and we were hoping that it was going to get better. And I really didn't feel like it was any different than last week. It was the same type of concept where, he's treating the minions poorly. I think they're almost looking like it was a staff meeting. Mm-hmm. and then one of the creepers yawns, and it kind of flips out on him.
Kind of similar to last week when Long John Silver and his first mate there, sneezed and started eating before he was told he could eat and whatnot. This vignette was better executed, but it's still not quite there for me.
Yeah.
It's still just lacking. I mentioned when we were theorizing that Brody Lee might be the Exalted One, formerly known as Luke Harper, and I was just like, my main argument was like, I don't know if he can handle it. We've never heard this guy talk. We got to hear what he sounds like. Like, to me, he still sounds wussy. I don't know. I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt because of what we learned from the Talk Is Jericho episode and how he's trying to kind of portray this more intelligent, higher being, I guess, however you want to describe it. But I don't know. At this point, I feel like the magical character which would have been more comparable to the Bray Wyatt, would have been better. But
Okay,
I understand why he doesn't want that. I get it, but to me, that's how the character was being built, and now we're not getting that.
Right.
But we'll see.
And we're not seeing Uno or anything in these
Yeah,
clips as well,
we're
which is
missing Uno
interesting.
and Grayson. I wonder how their relationship with the Exalted One how that is portrayed.
Right.
You know who else I'm missing is the evangelist guy. Like, where's he?
Oh
been?
yeah.
I liked all that. Like,
Yeah.
to me, he should be the mouthpiece for the Exalted One, and the Exalted One doesn't talk. He just makes, you know what I mean? Like, he just makes facial expressions and motions, and keeps everybody in check that way.
Right.
I think would be more impactful. But
I had an idea that I'll run by you. I
Sure.
feel like his character is maybe shades of Vince McMahon. That it might be a bit of a, not a middle finger in the air, but
a
this is what I'm
backhanded-
taking away from my time at WWE. And the reason I think this
that makes the
is
sneeze make
I
so
would-
much sense.
I was thinking about the podcast, and he was telling a story about, you can't talk to Vince when he's eating.
Right.
And he told a story about how he was eating the steak. And then in the last week's video, he's eating the steak.
Yeah.
So,
I did not pick
to
up
me,
on
I'm
this
like-
at all.
What's that?
I didn't pick up on this at all. Now this is my favorite character in AEW.
Like, I'm just guessing, he's got the suit on. Vince always has the suit going.
And I don't know
I'm just wondering.
I don't know if you know this, but like Vince hates sneezing. It's very well documented that he hates sneezes because he can't control it. That is the very well documented rumor. Anybody who's
right.
ever left WWE has mentioned this. Moxley mentioned it. Matt Hardy mentioned it. And now that you're bringing up this comparison, with Alex Riley, as we know him, he sneezed in front of the Exalted One and he lost his shit. Okay, this is my new favorite character. You just opened this up for me.
Well, I mean, I think that solidifies it, to use your catchphrase.
Right. But that's totally it. That's exactly what's going on. He is being Vince McMahon. Wow.
Yeah.
Mind blowing. You got one
So,
on me.
Yeah, I think, let's hold
That's
off on
awesome.
it. Let's see where it goes. I'm not counting them out yet.
We have evidence to prove the theory, at least. We're building our case.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Good job.
And he didn't talk a lot before, and he's not probably practiced on that. So I think it's gonna get better. I'm hoping it gets better. So especially if this is the angle.
Right. If this angle holds true and he is basically Vince McMahon, as long as they stay away from a straight up imitation, I think it'll work. Do you know what I mean? Like, once they start, like, if he says, "Oh, that's good shit," I'm out. I'm back off the way.
Yeah, it needs to be kind of a cheeky.
It needs to be subtle.
Yeah,
Which
Yeah.
apparently it was completely subtle because I didn't pick up on this at all. But as soon as you all said it, I was like, "Oh my god, that's exactly what's going on." The steak, the sneeze, it all makes sense. It all makes sense.
But you never listened to the Brody Lee podcast.
I haven't
right?
listened to it yet. No.
Yeah, so it was just that whole steak story, and then I was working, and then I just kind of had it in the back of my mind, and I'm just like, wait a minute, I think this is what's going down.
It makes sense, man. You've opened my eyes.
I am the Exalted One.
You are the Exalted One. We are the Dark Order. All right, let's keep it rolling as we get into. So coming off the Dark Order kind of vignette package, we get into a match with the Dark Order, but not the Dark Order that we know it. Tell us about this match. Set it up.
Yeah, so when we get a Dark Order match, we usually get Uno and Grayson, and who comes out but number 8 and number 9.
Yeah.
So Colt Cabana and Tony are a little baffled as to, who these two guys are. But they're obviously, lackeys. They're the creepers that we don't really know who they are. And they're going to have a match with the Natural Nightmares, which is their debut match on Dynamite for Marshall and
We've
Rose.
seen them a couple times on Dark, but this is their first time on Wednesday night, which is a big deal because they've been getting some. They've been on a roll lately on Dark. This is a good tag team. We mentioned it last week on our Dark segment that these guys are looking really good and they work well together. I just want to point out that I like this. Out of I'm newly on board with this Exalted One from your explanation.
For like 3 minutes ago.
Yeah. So, but the one thing I was liking about where the Dark Order was going, we'll say post Exalted One reveal, is that they're calling these guys by numbers. Like that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And now that I've been enlightened, it totally makes sense with this kind of Vince McMahon angle because everybody in the vanilla promotion is just a cog in the machine. That's all they are. They're nothing but numbers. They're just a salary. They're just a salary and a paycheck basically. So this totally makes sense more so, but this is one of the things that I liked about where the Dark Order was going is that these guys are named numbers 8 and 9. I can't wait to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But does that do you think that's where say Evil Uno's number 1? Evil Uno, that makes sense.
Yep.
Stu Grayson's probably the number 2, and Long John Silver and Alex Riley are 3 and 4. So will we see a 5 and a 6 and a 7?
Yeah, maybe that's coming up next week.
Colt Cabana makes a Stranger Things reference where, they can't use 11. It's a good thing they're not called 11, because that's a character in Stranger Things. So
okay,
it was a little pop culture, little Corey Graves there a little bit, but
yeah, we never really talked about Cabana on comms. I thought he did really well, which like you've alluded to in the last couple weeks, he has his own podcast and he's been around for a while. So, yeah, I thought he did really well. If they keep that going,
yeah, for sure,
that'll be good.
Yeah, he's a natural on the mic.
Yeah. So this match was really, kind of another squash match. The Creepers really had no momentum in this at all.
Okay.
And then it pretty much ended early. And then the Natural Nightmares are celebrating. They're gonna leave, and then we get what we think is going to be some sort of interrupt. So Brody Lee, the Exalted One, comes out, but he doesn't really interact with the Natural Nightmares.
Right.
He just kind of walks by them. So I thought that was interesting because I totally thought, maybe this is your traditional run out, hit from behind, that kind of thing, but it wasn't. What did you think about that part?
Yeah, I felt like I think I missed this. I might have been like going to get a drink, and then I came back and I saw that Brody Lee was out, so I kind of made a point that once my recording was done and I went back and rewatched that part, For whatever reason, I didn't go back and watch the spot that I missed in the Trent Omega match. But I wanted to go see back and how this all kind of came about. And it was like Brody comes out and, yeah, his music hits and he just struts out. And I'm like, yeah, this is kind of weird. So now I'm thinking, yeah, he's not going to get physical with the Natural Nightmares. That doesn't make sense now. Because otherwise he would have just ran out. You know, I want to say Dustin and QT didn't really do a good job hiding that he was going to come out from that side. They kind of immediately looked to that entrance, which is, I mean, it's no big deal, but it's just something I noticed.
Yeah. Because they waited around for a while.
It was almost like mistimed, which is,
yeah.
I mean, not the worst thing in the world, but whatever. As he struts out and he kind of gives eyes to the Natural Nightmares and Brandy, this is when I'm like, yeah, he's out here to punish the creepers.
Yeah.
And then that's exactly what we get. He comes in and he picks up the one who took the fall and power bombs him.
Was that 8 or 9? Do you know?
I can't remember. I don't think they. This is Jimmy and Jey Uso all over again. Like who knows who's who? But yeah, he punishes the one who took the fall. I'm assuming we're probably not going to see that one anymore. Is maybe how this will work. But and then he gives very stern eyes. He very leers at the other one and says, "Take note." Take note. So,
yeah.
I mean, it all furthers the character. I get it. I get it even more now. But I liked it. It makes sense to me.
Yeah, it totally fits.
And then we get into more GOAT. We get more GOAT on this one.
Every week when I'm watching this, my wife is just like, has Chris Jericho been on yet? Like, she just wants to watch the Chris Jericho segments.
Which just speaks volumes to... I'm assuming your wife is not a diehard wrestling fan like we are. She seems to be pretty new to the show, but that she's latching on to this stuff and recognizing it as entertainment just speaks volumes to what Jericho's doing.
Well, he was on Dancing with the Stars.
Oh,
so he's got that going on. But she does like Sammy Guevara.
Oh, well, I mean, he is a Spanish god.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does she like Sammy like you like the bunny? Is the question.
Now I don't know.
I almost spit out my beer.
Possibly, yeah. I thought it was just because he was singing Judas. But...
Oh, yeah. I mean, voice like an angel, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so as we get into this video package, this vignette, we see Jericho relaxing in his hot tub. I think this might be the same hot tub he shot the famous promo where the AEW championship was stolen, and he's gonna scour the earth to find the villain who stole his championship, and a little bit of the bubbly and all that stuff. I think this is the same hot tub, right?
I think so, yeah.
So,
and I'm thinking this is his home.
Yeah. This is totally his home. I can't see him going out of his way to film a vignette at like a disclosed location. And of course, he's waterfront,
Right.
But this is a very comical segment. It was a very comical segment, and as much as I find it entertaining and I liked it, I do like this moment. I think I don't know, the comical side of it seems out of place for being Chris Jericho and Matt Hardy, or Damascus as he is now known. I feel like that deserves more seriousness, but when Jericho cuts a promo on Vanguard 1 in the ring at Daly's Place the week before, and it hits, you almost got to roll with it, right?
Yeah, I feel like I don't have any like solid examples, but I feel like Jericho is kind of known for really milking something that's popped.
Well, a
You know,
little
like
bit of
he'll
the bubbly.
do it until it's bled dry.
Right, and that's a little bit of the bubbly. That's the example that comes right to mind. He said it off the cuff. It just came into his mind, and the world popped for it, and he's just like, all right, let's roll with this. And we had T-shirts, and now you can buy a little bit of the bubbly. You know what I mean? Like, he is the king of creating entities out of the weirdest stuff. So, you know, and yeah, I'm sure that promo on Vanguard 1 wasn't meant to be what it's turned into, but now we're getting the follow-ups. You mentioned last week he's cutting promos on his Roomba. You know what I mean? Like, that's Jericho.
Yeah, and I mean, Matt Hardy's doing it as well. He posted on Twitter. He was talking to, I can only assume is Vanguard 1, and then there was actually more of them there. And I liked how this is the explanation for him being able to, it wasn't magic. It was Vanguard who was, and his drones. Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. Yeah, they're just going with it, and until people stop talking about it, you know, I'm thinking this is how it will go.
So, I mean, basically to explain the segment, if you guys didn't catch it, Jericho is, you know, sitting in his luxury hot tub outside of his estate in Tampa, I believe he lives, and he's doing, you know, classic GOAT stuff and talking about Matt Hardy and how he made the wrong decision about turning him down. And then we keep getting flashes of, you know, Vanguard 1 is obviously above the property. And then eventually you hear the buzzing and he floats right in, you know, right above Jericho. And Jericho offers him a spot in the inner circle, you know, one last chance to join Inner Circle. And this is where I was thinking, I'm like, okay, they're going to do the, you know, Vanguard's going to shake his head kind of thing, but they didn't do it, and I was mad. And I was like, no, they're watching, and they knew what needed to happen, but they didn't do it.
Yeah.
It pissed me off. But the whole T-shirt, and then we kind of get into where I mentioned it's kind of comical in a way where, you know, he's got the little baby T-shirt, and he hangs it up, and Vanguard flies away, and, you know, release the hounds, and then these wussy-looking dogs all come running out of the house. And they're just going nuts over trying to get at Vanguard, which, I mean, it worked. Like I said, like, I liked the segment. I don't think it suits the story in any way, but, I mean, I like it. It's so funny.
I think they're really playing up to, like, the internet presence that both of them have.
Right.
Because that Release the Hounds, like, I've seen a lot of memes for that, and so, yeah, it's totally over. Did you notice that when Vanguard was approaching the property that there was, like, writing on the screen?
That's part of Vanguard's gimmick. I find it's very, like, Terminator, where it's constantly processing and, you know, target locking and stuff like that. Yeah. I can't say I actually stopped to read it. Did you notice? Does it say anything?
I didn't read it, but my wife's, you know, where's Chris Jericho? So she's watching the segment and she starts laughing, and I'm like, what? I must have missed it. And she goes, well, there was, it said Le Palier du Champion.
Oh yes, I did catch that. Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what does that mean? And she goes, well, the French is terrible, but it would translate to the Castle of the Champion. And then it said parts unknown.
yeah.
She's like, I don't get the parts unknown part.
Well,
and I'm like, of course you wouldn't. You're not a true wrestling fan, but yeah, it was awesome that they put the broken French in there.
Yeah, no, I mean, Le Champion is not the way to say the champion in French. I'm sure there's a different a different conjuring of the verbs or however you want to say it, sentence structure to it. But that's what makes the gimmick so funny.
Yeah.
And then the De Palace Le Champion, like that was awesome. I totally caught that. I didn't know that's what you were talking about.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I totally caught that. I just know from previous Vanguard moments that he kind of target locks, and then there's always like little writing, but I don't know that you were meant to read that kind of stuff. I thought that's what you were talking about, but yeah,
No, I'm totally gonna look for it now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, good stuff, and I like the tail end of the segment, and he's like, "That bastard stole my T-shirt." That was clever.
There's a T-shirt.
Yeah, that bastard stole my T-shirt. Vanguard One's making money on pro wrestling tees for sure. And then we get as we go into the next segment, we get an update on Nick Jackson. I thought this was a really well done segment. Like breaking kayfabe a little bit here. It's obvious Nick's more than well, and this is kind of a just taking time off to take care of little Michael Jackson. But this is really well done. Like Matt surprises him with this ring and a tennis court. And it's like being built in the background as they walk up to it and getting taped up, and they run the ropes and they take a couple bumps, and and it's just like, hey, you're looking really good in there. You think you're ready to come back, and not yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I wonder, with Blood and Guts being postponed, do they switch it up and maybe Matt Hardy gets taken out in a way to take him out of Blood and Guts and Nick comes back?
Okay.
Or maybe by that time Hangman, leaves the Elite and Nick replaces Hangman. Now it's the Young Bucks, Kenny, Cody, and Matt in Damascus. This opens up possibilities with this match being pushed back.
Yeah, yeah, I never thought about it, but I kind of don't like Matt Hardy in this match to begin with. It seems too convenient.
Right.
So yeah, this might be. I hate I hate to use the term blessing, just because of the situation that's going on in the world. But maybe it will work out in the end if Matt's not a part of it, and Nick's they're able to work it in that he can come back.
Yeah, I think that'll improve everything greatly. So
Yeah.
Hopefully, but we'll see. I wonder how long they'll. I hope they keep these kind of like updates coming. I kind of like this segment. Like last week we saw it was Vanguard 1 showed up in at Nick Jackson's house and just watched him working out, and then he kind of notices them and he runs away because he had to get back to do the Damascus bit and whatnot.
Right.
But yeah, I hope this keeps going. I'm liking these little updates. They're just showing the genius of the Young Bucks and how they can write a story. Let's get right into the main event. We have Sammy Guevara tag teaming with Shawn Spears versus Darby Allin and Cody. This is essentially the left side of the bracket, the Western Conference, if you will. And we're just going to showcase everybody that's going to be on that side of the match. This was a good match. You have the history with Cody and Darby. You had the time limit draw at Fyter Fest, and then you had the redemption match where Cody goes over. So these two don't really like each other. And then you have the heels, which are usually the ones who don't like each other and can't work together, who have actually worked together before at Fight for the Fallen and have a win together in Sammy and Shawn Spears. This is a really interesting dynamic going into this this tag match main event, and I mean they pulled it off. This was a very entertaining match. What did you think?
Yeah, totally star-studded, eh? Like you got a lot of your top guys in here. It had a bit of everything. Not a lot of the high flying stuff. But yeah, like just really good wrestling, good story. You got the heels gambling, doing moves in the ring.
Yeah. I bet you
And
$50 you can't hold a stalling suplex for 10 seconds.
yeah, like
Yeah, it was-
I'm
that
really
whole
loving
sequence is
that.
great.
With the no fans, you're getting to really hear what they're talking about in the ring. And, at one point you hear Sammy's like yelling at him, like, "Where are you?"
Yeah.
That's
And
good
that
stuff.
ties into how Sean's been, this hashtag search for Spears, and he's constantly yelling at these tag team partners. This just kind of fits into his character.
Yeah.
Could you see a potential spot in Inner Circle for Sean Spears,
Oh
or
boy.
does he not need that faction?
You know what? If it wasn't for Tully, maybe. But I think if he's gonna be in a faction, he needs to be the leader.
Yeah, I agree.
So like, yeah, maybe if Jericho was to like go on his own or have a leave of absence, then yeah, maybe he becomes kind of the leader guy. But yeah,
Agreed.
that's an interesting one.
Another part of this match is we're really seeing. This will get into our predictions later a little bit, but we see how everybody's interacting, and it makes me foresee how this tournament will eventually go. There was, like I mentioned it at the beginning of the segment, how it was weird that the faces were the ones who couldn't work together, and it was the heels who were actually cohesive. That's something that we don't see in wrestling. Usually it's the babyface is that work together, and the heels have the problems, and there's the bickering. And it was completely opposite here. Like, Darby and Cody didn't seem to gel during this match. And it ends up being Darby's exuberance that ends up leading to the loss, and Sean Spears and Sammy Guevara getting the win, because instead of maybe protecting Cody, he goes on the attack on Sammy outside of the ring, and Sean Spears gets the pin on Cody, which is his second win of 2020, should be noted. What did you think of the whole finish and how this all kind of tied up?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit unexpected. I really didn't think Sammy and Sean were gonna win this one. That crazy spot where Darby climbs the pole and does
That
the
was
coffin
cool.
drop from
Yeah.
the pole. Like I thought from there, yeah, they weren't really working together, Cody and Darby, but they kind of got a little bit of momentum there towards the end, and you just thought it was just the faces were gonna take it. I like the finish though. I never really thought of the kind of what you're saying here, where the faces didn't work together. That didn't click for me, but now that you're saying it, I'm like, yeah, that's totally what it was about, and even extending that to like the elite, right? Not being able to work together, and it's the bad guys that are kind of the good ones. So yeah, no, I like the finish here. It makes the TNT Championship tournament interesting, because now it's like anything can happen.
I can't remember. Did they mention that the tournament's starting next week, or next week are we going to see, say Lance Archer and who was on the other side? Like Lance Archer and Dustin versus Colt Cabana and Kip Sabian. Well, I guess it would be Archer and Sabian versus Dustin and Cabana. Do you think we're going to see that match, or is this tournament starting next week?
I didn't catch when it actually starts.
I can't remember.
Like there's really not many matches, right? So there's 4,
We're gonna have
6, 7 matches.
Yeah. Essentially, the finals will be at Double or Nothing May 23rd. So we're still over a month away. Well over a month away. I don't know.
I would say they should take it slow. Like, don't do half of the bracket one week, half of the bracket the next week.
Right.
That's 2 weeks. They could do the semifinals in 1 week. Maybe it might work out. Take a week off, build it up. Yeah, I know. I didn't catch it. If they said it, I didn't catch it.
Yeah, me neither. I can't remember. But I mean, to me, it makes sense that you had the Western Conference left side of the bracket tag team match. You should probably have an Eastern Conference right side of the bracket tag team match. It'd be another chance to display Lance Archer's power. To me, it makes sense, but we'll see what they do.
Yeah. And Lance and Colt kind of have a thing going, do they not?
Well, in the build-up, kind of during that Marco Stunt match, Archer really made a point of constantly looking up at the broadcast position, like at the commentary desk, to make eyes at Colt Cabana, and Colt Cabana acknowledged it, and he's like, yeah, what's happening to Marco Stunt's not going to happen to me, was his whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, they definitely built something up for this first round match. Definitely.
Yeah.
But, yeah, really good Dynamite. It wasn't the best. It wasn't as good as, the first week we had no crowd, but it was definitely an entertaining show. The wrestling far outweighed the lack of crowd presence. Really good wrestling this week. I enjoyed it. Okay, so moving on, let's talk about the TNT Championship Tournament. Let's get into our predictions and how we think this tournament will go down. Just a quick reminder on the Western Conference, as I've been referring it to, we have Cody versus Shawn Spears. We have Sammy Guevara versus Darby Allin. On the East, we have Kip Sabian and Dustin Rhodes, and then Lance Archer versus Colt Cabana. What are your thoughts on these 8 competitors being a part of this mid-card? Essentially, this is the mid-card belt. And the tournament, what do you think of these 8 wrestlers being the initial ones vying for the title?
I mean, my first impression is 2 things. There's definitely wrestlers here that belong. There's wrestlers here that we have had conversations on this show that we predicted would be part of this.
Mm-hmm.
Darby Allin, Sammy, Kip Sabian, right? Cody, Lance Archer, Colt Cabana, even Dustin Rhodes, they don't make sense to me in here.
Me either.
But I feel like putting Lance Archer and Cody in different conferences makes it feel like they're leading. This is where we're going to see the clash happen. I don't know.
The writing was almost thrown on the wall in a way, with the build-up and everything.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna I agree with that. I feel like that's what they're trying to throw at us.
But it's a tease, right?
But it's a tease. I don't like it. I don't want the final to be Cody versus Lance Archer. I want to see that match, but just not in these finals. And
Yeah.
we'll get into how we all think this will go down. And did you watch the Road to Dynamite from this week?
I didn't. No.
So there's a segment where Cody and Tony are sitting in Cody's office, if you remember all the roads to Double or Nothings, and there's that real fancy office that Cody is hanging out in and stuff like that. So they're in that office and they're sitting at the table and they're kind of talking about, their commentary and how the show's been going and how they can do better. And you see on the whiteboard there's all this information and stuff like that. And I think it's QT Marshall kind of interrupts their little meeting. He's like, "Hey, sorry to interrupt, guys, but hey, Tony, I got my bracket ready." And Cody's like, "What the fuck? What bracket? What are you talking about?" And Tony's like, "Hey, whoa, this isn't the time, and whatnot." And then later on, and so they get back to business and they're talking again, and then Tony gets a phone call. It's a video chat, FaceTime with Britt Baker, because they're best friends. And, "Hey, Britt, how's it going, sweetheart," and all this stuff. And Britt's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm doing great, Tony. I'm just, I'm having a Starbucks. I'm thinking about you, but, I got my bracket ready." And, like, Cody's he's looking at the whiteboard while this phone call's going on, eh? And what is this bracket? So, to me, what's going on is this kind of leads back to that first week with no fans when MJF is out in the crowd and they're gambling and they're like, "Hey, Tony, you want in on this?" I think Tony's running a fantasy fucking bracket, March Madness style, for the TNT Championship.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm thinking we're putting our names in the bin right now. And, if you're listening, Tony Schiavone, someone retweet the show to Tony, but we're in the bracket. Impromptu Wrestling is in the bracket.
We got our bracket in.
Yeah, we'll fill out our brackets digitally and we'll put them up on Twitter later this weekend, at least before next week's Dynamite. But yeah, I like this idea. I liked where they were going with this, and I'm excited. So let's do it. Let's do it right now. Let's fill out our brackets. First matchup, quarterfinal on the Western Conference. Left side of the bracket, we have Cody versus Shawn Spears. Where do you think this is going?
All right, so I feel like it's gonna be a tease. I don't feel it's gonna end up Cody Archer, but I think Cody needs to move on to the next round to make this tease happen. So I'm gonna pick Cody.
I 100% agree with you. I would. Let's just say I was disappointed with the layout of the bracket. This initial bracket, I'm disappointed with it. If Cody was a necessity to be in it, he could have faced somebody else. To me, Shawn Spears should have been on the other side. Maybe in place of Colt Cabana. Maybe in place of Dustin. To me, Dustin and Cabana are the ones that don't need to be a part of this.
Mm-hmm.
Shawn Spears would have been better off over there. But this is what it is. I'm taking Cody first matchup of the tournament.
Okay.
Sticking
You
on.
pick the next one first because I feel like I always pick first.
Okay, yeah, sure.
right.
As we get into the second quarterfinal of the Western Conference, we have Sammy Guevara versus Darby Allin. Now, I was crushed that this was the matchup. And I've said it in previous episodes of the podcast that, to me, this was the final.
Yeah.
For the mid-card championship. But, I mean, we are dealing with what we're given. We're not the bookers as much as we should be. But when I'm looking at this has Darby written all over it. To me, he is the TNT champion already. So I'm taking Darby in this one.
Okay.
Also, fulfilling the explanation, going back into the tag team main event that we just watched, and how they weren't working together, and there was a little bit of tension there. It just makes sense that Cody and Darby are the semifinal.
Okay.
What do you got?
I mean, I like your explanation. I mean, if I was to hear that first, I'd probably go that way. I'm gonna stick to what I thought originally, and that is that I think Sammy is going to be the champ. So I think he has to win this one.
Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. So let's move over to the Eastern Conference, as you will. We have match number 1, Kip Sabian versus Dustin Rhodes. Now, I kind of just mentioned how I think Sean Spears should be on the other side, maybe replacing Dustin or Cabana. If I was booking this tournament, I think it's Sabian versus Spears, maybe. Cody versus a Jungle Boy. I think Jungle Boy deserves to be in this.
Yeah.
Instead of Cabana, I feel like maybe one of the best friends. Trent's been doing good. Chucky's been doing good. You could even have had a Jimmy Havoc in there or a Joey Janela.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, to me, Cabana and Dustin don't make sense. But this is the bracket we were given. We will do our best to do it. When I look at Sabian versus Dustin Rhodes, I gotta go Sabian.
Okay.
I just don't think Dustin needs this tournament. He shouldn't be in the tournament to begin with. Not as a knock on Dustin at all as a performer or as a wrestler. I just don't think he needs the championship.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm taking Sabian on this one.
Okay. This is interesting because usually we're pretty straight and narrow. I'm gonna go with Dustin, and just because my pick for the last one is Archer,
right?
And Sabian Archer doesn't make sense to me, so I'm gonna do Dustin.
Okay. And as you mentioned, the last match of the tournament, the second quarterfinal match of the Eastern Conference, as I'm calling it, Lance Archer versus Colt Cabana. You've already kind of given your pick. I mean, Lance Archer. I mean, it's just obvious at this point. You can't decimate somebody like Marco Stunt. Have the build that you have with Jake Roberts at your side, and then come in and lose to Colt Cabana. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense. I'm totally taking Archer on this one. Let's stick with the Eastern Conference and go right into this. Our semifinals. We have 2 different semifinals laid out. Why don't you tell me how you see your semifinal playing out?
So that means I have Cody, Sammy.
No, let's stick to the Eastern Conference.
Oh, sorry. So I have Dustin Archer.
Yes.
So yeah, I think for the same reason you're saying, you just said that it kind of has to be Archer over Dustin. That has to happen.
So this is the reason I take Sabian.
Okay.
So in my semifinal, I have Sabian versus Archer. I think Sabian gets one on Dustin, which pushes him a little bit further up. It gets him a little bit more noticed. He's been doing a good job in his dark matches. He had that cool feud with Janela. He's got Penelope on his side. I think she gets involved in that Dustin match, and he gets one over. It pushes his character forward, and then he runs into Lance Archer and gets completely squashed. I shouldn't say completely squashed, but I mean, he gets manhandled and controlled, and obviously Archer's going to win this one. The reason I think they go this way is just Sabian's already over the moon, pushed from his win over Destin. So getting squashed to someone the size of Lance Archer and the presence of Lance Archer, it's not going to hurt it, is where I'm going.
Yep.
So I'm taking Lance to get into the finals on the Eastern Conference.
Okay.
Thinking about the West semifinal now. Sounds like we're talking CFL. I have Darby versus Cody. And like I mentioned, it just ties into the tag team match main event on Dynamite this past week. It just makes sense to me. We had the time limit draw. We had the Cody redemption win over Darby. Darby is white hot right now with the crowds. He has always been my pick since I mentioned the tease of a mid-card title. I'm taking Darby Allin to finally get one back on Cody.
Okay. And on my side, for the same reason, I have Sammy over Cody.
So yeah, we're very similar in the thinking, but we just got a couple different people.
It's like Clue,
Yeah.
right?
Sammy in the semifinal with the video camera.
Yeah.
And I have Darby with the skateboard in the final. So let's talk about our finals then. I got Darby versus Archer, and you have Sammy versus Archer. Where do we see this going down? Because these are two very different matches, if you think about it.
Right. I think the only thing that my match has over your match is I have Inner Circle. So I could have interrupts,
There's possibilities.
things like that.
Yes.
I think for both of us, I don't know that our guys can beat Archer. Like, we shouldn't be beating Archer without some sort of interrupt or some kind of not a clean win, right?
Right.
To keep to Archer strong. So yeah, I'm picking Sammy on my side to win the championship
With Inner Circle interrupt.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Do I have to write that down with interrupt?
Well, I mean, it's for the bonus point, right?
All right. Okay.
So I have the same answer. I'm taking Darby over Archer, but with a Cody interrupt.
Oh. Wow.
Which will propel the feud that is being built.
I've just lost my Exalted One stat.
So yeah, I think Darby and Archer are gonna put on a match, and it's gonna be entertaining. And I think Darby does such a good job as the small guy versus the big guy, the David versus Goliath, if you will. Like, he can get thrown around, but you believe when he musters up the heart because of the way his character is portrayed, right? So he'll have offense. This will be the best test that Archer will have up to this point for me. I still think Archer comes off like super strong coming out of this. Like, there's going to be a very slight moment where you think Darby's going to win. But Archer just smashes that. And then that's the moment when Cody comes out. Maybe he's out there with Arn Anderson, like however they're going to do it. But it's almost like Cody giving the belt to Darby, much like Triple H gave it to Kevin Owens, gave the Universal Championship to Kevin Owens, if you remember that. I think it's going to be a similar situation. where the ref's going to be knocked out. You know, it'll probably be Turner as the ref. Bonus point for calling the ref in the final. I'm calling Paul Turner. And,
Okay.
And Turner's going to be knocked out for whatever reason, however it's going to happen. And Cody's going to come out and take out Archer and give the eyes to Darby and say, it's all yours. Roll out of the ring. Darby hits a coffin drop. Ding, ding, ding.
Man,
I mean, that's how I would book it.
I like your version way better.
All right. So that was a really, really big show. I'm definitely gonna cut this one up. I'll upload the whole show because I mean we're well into 2 hours at this point. But I'll upload the whole show, and then that'll get put live Saturday. So please watch. Hopefully you made it to the end. Leave it in the comments below if you made it to the end. We appreciate it. Drop us a like. Leave us a subscribe. I always say that backwards. Please subscribe. Drop us a like. Leave us some comments below. I will definitely cut this show up. I'll do our WrestleMania predictions as one. BTE Dark as another. Dynamite as one. And our TNT Championship as one. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right. Again, appreciate it if you made it to the end. The views are, it's just icing on the cake for us. And we appreciate you all for stopping in and watching. And, we'll see you next week. Peace out.
Peace.
All right. Fuck you, Jim Cornette.